Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Good evening. I need your undivided attention because we're about to start the program. I've never seen so many boxes in one place in my life. How'd you all get in my room? All right, good evening and welcome to the third annual USA Boxing Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Before I even start, I want to give everyone in this room the opportunity to give themselves a great big round of applause for a great week in Lake Charles. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Al Valenti. I'm a 35-year member and a proud member of the old NEABF and USA Boxing. And I need your undivided attention, and if I say it one more time, I got three guys coming up from Baton Rouge who will straighten this crowd right out. For years and decades and centuries, people have pondered, what comes first in life, the chicken or the egg? One might even ask themselves right now, where is that old 70-year-old duffer going with that? The chicken or the egg? Think about it. How does that relate to the sport of amateur boxing? Well, let me tell you how it does. You cannot have a boxer without a coach. You cannot have a boxing club without boxers. And if you have a boxing club and you have boxers, you better have events. And if you don't have boxing events, you need a governing body. But when we look back at that egg, we say to ourselves, what's the one element in that equation I didn't use? And the single word is coach. Boxing coaches at the amateur level defy every bit of logic and imagination. Why would a guy leave his work to go to a gym to deal with a bunch of teenagers? Why would a guy put kids in a van and drive 100 miles to go to a boxing event? Why would any of it happen? It happens because USA Boxing is the one fundamental difference that makes a difference in a young person's life. The path to self-confidence, the path to self-respect, the path to discipline and victory and learning how to accept defeat all comes through amateur boxing. Every young boxer here this week came out here a week before Christmas and gave everything they have in that ring. And they did it because they had a coach and a trainer and a mentor and a person who could do that for them. And when you ask yourself that question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You better believe that the coach is the egg. The coach is that embryonic piece of flesh, basically an individual who decides at some point in time that he's going to dedicate his life to amateur boxing. I want to thank each and every person in this room, man and woman alike, that has decided to follow that path and go into a gym. Because what USA Boxing does, we give them that opportunity to go out and be exactly who they are. Tonight, the story will be told. Tonight, we will take you on a path in history of amateur boxing in the United States that rivals no other nation. Gold medalist, silver medalist, coaches, officials, doctors, they're all here. How does this happen? I once said recently to someone, hey Al, what are you doing these days? I'm doing this boxing thing. What's it like? I said, it's like Woodstock for boxing. Everybody's here. We got Sly and the Family Stone. We got the Grateful Dead. We got them all. Everybody's in this room. But here's the best part about tonight that a lot of you don't know. If you went to the USA Boxing website right now and you clicked on local boxing events, right now, tonight, Friday night the 13th in December, 12 days before Christmas, there's 36 boxing shows not happening in Lake Charles. And that's a testimony to what I said. That a guy wakes up one day and he says, I'm going to coach a boxer, I'm going to open a gym, and I'm going to go to an event. And how does this happen? It happens because people like John Brown, Now, someone's going to say, John Brown. Who's John Brown? Let me tell you who John Brown is. He's been doing this for half a century. He's been doing stuff that I can't even dream of. I call him one day, where are you? I'm in a van, I'm going to St. Louis. Where are you now? I'm going in a van, I'm going to Wichita. And then I say to myself, I get it. I understand it. The passion displayed at USA Boxing is unrivaled. And we have alliances. And tonight, it is with great pride tonight that some of these individuals that will be honored, I've known them my entire life. And there's only one guy, only one. There's no alternate. There's no third one. One guy that can tell the story no better than the gentleman I'm going to bring to the podium. In my 35 years in boxing, I met this gentleman just about 35 years ago. And over those 35 years, I'm learning to really accept those things that really matter. You know what matters to me? Loyalty matters to me. Friendship matters to me. Experience matters to me. Tonight, for the third consecutive year, my friend, Hall of Fame announcer, Boxing Hall of Fame announcer, he sits there Friday nights, Saturday nights. He's done it for over 3 decades. And he has come here again to assist the program that he knows is the egg. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Golden Nugget in Lake Charles, I give you Boxing Hall of Fame ring announcer, the one and only Al Bernstein.
Thank you very, very much. Well, I'm delighted to be back here for my 3rd year at the USA Boxing's Alumni Association Hall of Fame. I get to host a lot of events and MC a lot of events during the course of the year. And this event now is always the final one I do because it's in December. And let me tell you something, it is definitely my favorite. All the things that Al told you that are true about amateur boxing that you know are the reasons why I am excited to be here. I want to thank the Alumni Association for inviting me back. I want to thank the Golden Nugget for all putting on, helping out in this event. This is a terrific facility, and they have done a great job of helping to put this on. Now, when I was walking in here, one of the gentlemen who is one of the security guards, Richard was his name, stopped me, and he said, you know, I met you some years ago here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. He said, I met you at the Daly boxing gym. And he said, I was one of the kids that was there trying to make his life better, learn boxing, and he said, my life got changed. And the man that ran that gym, if you allow me a personal aside, was one of my best friends in the world. His name was Phil Daly. Many of you here in Lake Charles know him. He passed away, it's worthy of applause. He passed away a little less than 2 years ago, and during his long career, he did what all of you do. And I will use him as an example for all of you. He changed young men's lives. Richard, the security guard out there, said to me, if I hadn't found that boxing gym, I'm not sure where I would be now in life. And so that's my way of saying to you that I understand through people I know what you all do to help youngsters. Now, this Alumni Association has given a great opportunity for so many of you to reconnect, meet each other again, or maybe meet each other for the first time. And the young man, and he's a remarkable young man, who puts all this together and makes the Alumni Association special is somebody I want to introduce to you right now. He's going to kick off this part of the program. He's the executive director of the U.S. Boxing Alumni Association, Chris Gugliari. Chris?
Thank you, Al, and thank you all for joining me tonight in this really special event. You know, 3 years ago, a group of us sat down at a table in Kansas City at the National Championship, and this idea was hatched. You know, John Brown, Al Valenti, John Scully, Christy Halbert, and a few others, Mike McAtee, and here we are 3 years later. So it's something that I'm very proud of. It's an organization that I'm proud to help lead with the support of all of you. So thank you very much for that. As we are here in an environment kind of reflecting on and honoring everyone for what they've given to the sport, I think that it's worth remembering those who've paid a significant price in the sport of boxing and those who gave a lot at the amateur level who are no longer with us right now this past year. In particular, two I want to call out. This year we lost future Hall of Famer for USA Boxing Alumni Association, Sweet Pea Purnell Whitaker, as well as Patrick Day. The two of them are two of the finest examples of USA Boxing alumni, and I just want to make sure that we take the time here tonight to remember their contributions and to honor them for that, as I'm sure we'll do so in the future as well. Just to give a quick update on the Alumni Association, we are at around 1,200 members right now. Again, this is starting up our third year. We've had events throughout the country. This past year, honoring Mickey Ward and Vinny Pazienza up in New England area. We went to Chicago. We honored Izzy Acosta at the Junior Olympics in Wisconsin. We honored Buster Douglas, Coach Mike Stafford in Ohio, as part of the Ohio Legends celebration. And here we are today honoring our third Hall of Fame class. We've come a long way, and our theme for 2020, we got two missions. Number one is we want to take this down more to the local grassroots level. Anyone interested in helping us plan events to bring boxing people together in celebration of our sport, particularly to help support the next generation of champions, which are the kids competing today. That's one of our big missions for this year, so please see myself or Nicole. We'll work with you to help plan those. The second is with the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. We want to make sure the Alumni Association supports our athletes that are going over there and supports their families that they have the opportunity to see them. So we're going to be working hard with USA Boxing to make sure that we can make that happen this year. With that said, again, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be up here right now in front of all of you. Thank you for helping celebrate today, and I look forward to talking with the rest of you for the rest of the night. Here's to a good 2020. Thank you.
Chris Cugliari, the head of the executive director of this organization. Now, we have in our midst some amazing folks, great boxers who created special memories for us. And I want to acknowledge some of them, or as many as we can. And if I miss anybody in this round, please find me so that I don't miss you as we continue. First of all, a gentleman who was a 1972 Olympic gold medalist, the great Sugar Ray Seals. '72 Olympian, Tim Demint. Two brothers who were fantastic amateur fighters. Jackie was in a 1980 Olympic qualifier. Obi and Jackie Beard are here. A gentleman who was a terrific amateur heavyweight and went on to glory as a professional as well, Devar Williamson. 2016 Olympic silver medalist and now a top contender as a professional, Shakur Stevenson. A young man who had a good amateur career, but now has fought for the world title as a professional, and he's a terrific fighter, Regis Prograis. Four-time U.S. national champion, Roberto Benitez is here. Two brothers, both were fantastic amateur and professional fighters. One of them, Frank, was the 1984 Olympic gold medal winner. Frank and Thomas Tate are here. 1988 Olympian flyweight, Mr. Michael Collins. And a gentleman who was the 2017 Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. He trains several champions. Good man, Mr. Derek James is here. Pardon? And former world champion and great amateur fighter, the great Reggie Johnson is in the house tonight. A man who I get to work with all the time at Showtime as an announcer, and he was an Olympic medalist and a professional champion as well, And my good friend Raul Marquez is here this evening. A man who was a world champion and a fantastic amateur fighter, Arthur Johnson, is here. 3 brothers from Louisiana. I announced all their fights, and when I was with them, I said, "How come I've aged and you haven't?" I don't understand that. But Anthony, Jerry, and Don Stevens are here this evening, so shout out for them. If I missed anybody, we'll get to you in a little bit. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our inductions. One of the great things in the first 2 years of this organization is that the selection of inductees has been impeccable. It's just been a wonderful mix of names that everybody knows and names that people should know. The first of our inductees is a legendary trainer from Arkansas, tremendous coach, Mr. Ray Rogers. And to induct Ray Rogers, we have his son. Please help me welcome Michael Rogers. Michael Rogers? Michael, come on up. Come on up. Let's play double jeopardy. No, we're not going to do that. Here we go. Michael Rogers.
Hello, everybody. I want to apologize for my father not being here. He hurt his back over the weekend working a boxing match, believe it or not, and he apologizes for not being able to be here. I want to thank USA Boxing and the Alumni Association for recognizing my father for this award. And when he heard about this, he said, I didn't do any of these things in the 72 years that he's been in the sport for awards. He just did what he did for the love of this sport, and he did what needed to be done. And in 1947, in Tecumseh, Oklahoma, an 11-year-old boy entered the sport of boxing, and he lettered, and he fell in love with the sport. And then he moved to Conway, Arkansas, and that's where the journey really began. And then in 1952 is where it really becomes interesting, because at the age of 16 years old, they lost their boxing coach, and they needed one. And he took 3 young boxers, and they went and entered a tournament. And when they entered the tournament, the adult coaches told him, "You cannot coach these boxers." And he didn't understand why. And he said, "Well, politely, could you please show me in the rule book where there is an age requirement that says that I can't be a coach?" And they all looked in there, and they couldn't find it. And sure enough, they came back and they said, "Well, okay, we're going to let you coach, but we're going to keep an eye on you." And all 3 of his boxers won, and he just continued to coach. Back then, you didn't have to wear headgears. You didn't have to wear tank tops. And so cuts happened. And that's where he became a cut man. That's where the necessity to learn how to stop cuts came into play. Also, I don't know if you know this or not, but my father, he has a way for jokes. He has a way for telling stories. And he also has a way for getting to the point and telling things in a funny way. And back then, you know, we would box in these old town farm fairs and whatever else, and we wouldn't have rope covers on there. And we'd get rope burns whenever we would box on these things. And I remember I asked him one time, I'd say, "Well, what can I do to keep from getting all these rope burns?" He'd just say, "Stay off the ropes." Okay, that made sense. Another time I would ask him, I would say, I don't understand. Why do they stop to 10? Why don't they go to 12 or 14? He said, because the referee wouldn't have any more fingers. Made sense. But the part that I really didn't understand was why he made us listen to Merle Haggard every single time we went to a boxing match. If we went 8 hours, we had to listen to Merle Haggard for 8 hours straight. And let me tell you, after 8 hours of listening to Fighting Side of Me, by the time you get there, you really are on the fighting side of someone. And he continued to do what he had to do, and that was who my father is. And he continued to devote his life to the Silver Gloves and to the Golden Gloves as both of their longest term presidents. And he also became a professional cut man for people like Tommy the Duke Morrison, with the help of John Brown. Also, Wayne McCullough, Hector Macho Camacho, Jermaine Taylor. He also worked Iran Barkley and several other professional fights. He worked 39 professional fights, and not one of them were ever stopped because of cuts or swelling. My father believes that if everybody boxed in the entire world, there would be world peace, there would be no racism, and that the world would be a better place. Because ultimately, we all might fight each other, we all might have disagreements and whatever else, but there's something special that happens when you get in there and you combat each other for however many rounds. At the end of it, we are all brothers and sisters in boxing. At the end of it. Thank you very much for recognizing my father for this award. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is a gentleman who has been a great boxing coach for many, many years. And where he did business was not an easy place to get to. In northern Michigan, and trying to get to that place was always a chore for me when I did fights, broadcast fights up there, because you would go to Detroit and then you would get on some little 12-seater plane that you were confident was going to crash the very moment it hit the it hit the atmosphere. And Al Mitchell was able to survive those flights for a long, long time. So in addition to being a great boxing trainer, it's a miracle that he's still alive. He trained world champs. He was an Olympic boxing coach, and he is one of the most genuine and nicest people you will ever meet. And on hand to introduce him to be inducted into the Alumni Hall of Fame is one of the young people that he has trained. She is a 2016 Olympian. She is a fantastic professional fighter right now, and she can tell you about this man and what he's meant to her. Michaela Meyer is here. Michaela Meyer, great.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. My name is Michaela Mayer. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I am especially happy that this is being held at the Olympic Trials. Coach Al and I won this tournament together about 4 years ago, and I think we can both agree that it was definitely one of our greatest accomplishments together, and a week that we definitely won't ever forget. I don't envy you coaches and athletes right now. I know the stress and pressure that you're under, and we went through the same thing, came out on top, and definitely one of our most amazing accomplishments. So, okay. For all of those who don't know me, I'm Michaela Mayer. I competed for Team USA for many years. My accomplishments include 3-time U.S. national champion, 4-time national Golden Glove champion. I'm a world bronze medalist, 2-time Pan American champion, 2016 Olympic trials champion, Olympian, and now an undefeated professional signed with Top Rank Promotions. Well, on my way to becoming a world champion. Thank you. I say that because I want it to be known that without the coach we are honoring tonight, I would not be any of these things. I remember the first time I heard the name Coach Al Mitchell. I was about 2 years into training, and it had just been announced that women were going to be allowed to compete in the 2012 Olympic Games. When I first walked into the gym in 2017, women didn't quite have a place in boxing just yet. There weren't many options for me career-wise, but I knew I loved the sport and I had a passion and that I would find a way. My dad knew it too, and he saw my passion, but when he saw my demeanor after coming off 2 losses, he took it upon himself to do some research. And after scrolling through the USA Boxing website, he approached me with an idea. He said there's a program in Northern Michigan where you can attend college classes on a scholarship and also train with a 2-time, now 3-time, Olympic coach named Alfred Mitchell. I was 19 and wanted to go to college because I probably should be going to college at this time in my life, but I wanted to train with a 2-time Olympic coach even more. Still discouraged from my losses, I casually said, okay, Dad, yeah, hit them up, see if they'll take me, and took off to my friend's house at the time. My dad reached out to Coach Al multiple times. He was looking for athletes to join the program and had spots available, but for a girl, this threw Coach Al off. But my dad reminded him that women had just been allowed into the 2012 Olympics and that he had to take me. In a rush to fill the spots before the semester started, Coach Al finally agreed to accept his first female after 25 years of training strictly bad boys. 2 weeks later, and I was on a plane from LA to Northern Michigan to start my new journey. I had no idea where I was going or what this Coach Al looked like or the other people that would be on the team. All I remember is flying over a forest of tree and landing in 20 feet of snow and thinking, oh no, where the hell did I come? What am I doing? He picked me up from the dorms in his green minivan the next morning to show me around campus, meet my counselor, and help me get signed up for classes. I don't exactly remember what I thought he was going to look like, but what I imagined definitely wasn't what I got. He was a rather small guy with a thick mustache, and it was clearly winter, so he had on his standard attire that I will still catch him in today. A fur hat, big black Adidas jacket, gloves, and of course, his fanny pack. I quickly took notes and realized that although my hoodie and Ugg boots would suffice for an LA winter, they weren't going to cut it up here in the North Pole. He was kind, energetic, and talkative, and we drove around the smallest town I had ever seen, and I learned about him, listened to his success stories from all his previous boxers, and heard names like David Reed, Vernon Forrest, Tiance and LaChance Shepard, Roberto Benitez, Dominique Quinn, Eric Kelly, Timothy Bradley, Jermaine Taylor, and more for the first time in my life. It was my first introduction to his legendary accomplishments, and while I'm sure he didn't believe me at the time, I knew that one day I would fall in line with these names and he would be talking about me as well. I was intrigued by his stories, and it got me excited about my goals. I remember thinking, wait till he sees me box. He's never trained a girl, but he's gonna like me. He's gonna be impressed. I couldn't have been more wrong. The first practice was later that day. Long story short, I went from thinking I was more than a decent boxer to being completely broken down and critiqued. Nothing I did was right. My feet were terrible, I sat on my heels. I wasn't boxing the shoulders or using my height and reach at all. Had a lazy jab, no power, and needed to learn to relax. This first workout was approximately 10 years ago, and guess what? I heard all those same things come out of his mouth just this last training camp. After years of being drilled these same fundamentals, I realized that one of Coach Al's greatest coaching qualities was his ability to remain consistent. He didn't let up. He took his time on each one of these fundamentals for however long it took. Naturally, each boxer was going to develop their own style, and he wanted that. But the basics and fundamentals had to be right. And there was a certain set of rules that must be followed, the do's and the don'ts. And anyone who has trained under him can still quote a handful of them, I'm sure. Rules like staying in the center of the ring and off the ropes, stepping around after a combination, throwing everything behind the jab and always finishing with the hook. Rules that all the athletes in the gym knew. Rules that we would not get away with breaking without being called out. Consistently, every single time. It didn't always feel comfortable, and sometimes we would argue back, but you would quickly learn that you're just adding fuel to the fire, and so you do what he says. Not because you believe in it just yet, but to avoid getting yelled at. Then eventually, weeks, months, and usually years later, it finally clicks. But this is how Coach Al has consistently raised champion after champion. And it wasn't easy. Imagine having to teach the same Mama Jamma one move 6 days a week, twice a day, for 2 years before it clicked. And I'll always envy his patience for that. The expectations from him grew as he saw me mature, but the formula never changed. We just kept adding on and perfecting and drilling these rules into me as much as he could so that I would do them automatically under pressure. He did this through diligence and consistency. He would stop sparring in the middle of rounds when you make a mistake. He takes away your favorite punch and doesn't allow you to use it. He makes you spar 8 rounds with just one hand. He forces you to stay behind the jab, and if you don't, guess what? That's the only punch you're allowed to throw. Keep throwing the right hand without coming back with the hook, and guess what? Not allowed to throw any more right hands for weeks. Block more than 2 punches without punching back, and you don't get to throw any punches the rest of the rounds. Do not double jab and throw nothing behind it. Otherwise, what the hell was the point of throwing the double jab in the first place? Step up with your punches. Stop cutting back to power. Step around, and don't just pat the body, dig. I could go on, because these quotes haunt me in my sleep. My point is, having a coach like Coach Al isn't easy. It's frustrating, and it's frustrating as hell because you don't always leave the gym with your head held high from compliments and pats on the back. But that's what a good coach does. He forces you out of your comfort zone, challenges you daily, and doesn't allow for complacency. Aside from being a boxing genius and a great teacher, Coach Al has a few other qualities that any young boxer who has ever had the privilege of training under him can vouch for. Coach Al has been training boxers his entire life. He always said his favorite age to get them was at 12 or 13 because he thought they caught on faster and didn't have a ton of bad habits. They were kids that didn't have the best upbringing or home environments, kids that didn't have the money to buy winter coats or the means to travel to tournaments, kids that couldn't afford to get a mouthpiece fitted at the dentist, and who would have never had the opportunity to become a top-ranked boxer and travel the world, or a multiple-time national champion, an Olympian, a high school graduate, or a college-educated man with a degree. He always went above and beyond for so many as if they were his own. Although I missed the age group, his favorite age group, by about 7 years, I too received this kind of treatment. I stayed under Coach Al's roof for dozens of training camps throughout my amateur career. He trained me multiple times a day, fed me, traveled to competitions with me on his own dime, paying for hotel and flights, and he never asked me for a single thing in return. The only thing that he asked was that I listen to him, because once anyone stopped listening, he walked away. Finally, 10 years later, and Coach Al is just now starting to make a little money off me. A 10-year investment with no guarantee of a return. It was fine for me to put in the work and take that risk because it was my dream. But Coach Al took on the dream like it was his own. And that has always amazed me and made me feel so lucky. The money never mattered to him. He truly loved the sport and genuinely wanted to see his athletes become the best version of themselves inside and outside the ring. For many, he was the father they never had or the mentor they desperately needed. He has touched so many lives through boxing and continues to do so with me and back home, where he has a handful of 2028 Olympians that he's ready to let loose on you guys. 5 of them being girls. I think I can confidently speak for not only myself, but for every one of Coach Al's boxers, past and present, when I say thank you for all you have done, your knowledge and selflessness, but most importantly, the time that you have given us has truly changed our lives and helped mold us into the men and women we are today.
They told me I only had 3 minutes because they say I talk too much. I look at Hector, Mr. Packard, I look at all my friends here and some of the bad boys, but I got 200 letters like this, and it's short, and I want to read it. I love you, man, always. You taught me the right and the wrong in helping raising me. I will forever have love, respect, and honor you. This kid was 13 years old when I brought him in the program. I got rid of everybody that was over 16 that tell me they don't want to go to school. I appreciate you, Coach. I could not have accomplished the things I did without your training. When you see me, you see your work. When I train my fighters, I teach them everything you taught me. You've given so many underprivileged kids a career that changed their lives for generations. I salute you, Coach. This kid was 13 years old. His name's Zaire Rahim. But the longest time I've been working and everything, I want to thank the coaches. I had 3 or 4 coaches that didn't care about boxing. They wanted to see their kid get education. Israel Costa is one. I got LaChon Shepard, and his mother died. A year later, his father was sick. Nobody was there with Tions. I brought him in a program. He was 14 years old. He won the Nationals, got the gold medal in the Goodwill Games. I had so many kids like this. I got a perfect record. They going to Marquette High. All of them graduate. I got 4 kids that got master's degrees. I got 14 that got degrees. And I got 4 guys that policemen, and no way they should be policemen. So that's what life is all about, you know? I look at Hector. He comes up Marquette and Snowland, see me, take me out to eat. My guys come to a reunion. Packer call me every once in a while when his wife let him. So, you know, I'm blessed. My old coach used to tell me, you're only good as your memories. I got so many memories, it's crazy, with kids, 13, 14, and 15. I had a kid named Vernon Forrest, won a 4-time world champion. Twice, they invite him to Marquette High, and he was the guest speaker. So that's what life all about. It's not just about boxing. It's about getting that education, and after 10 years, they have a good life. That's what it's all about. I want to thank y'all for putting me in the Hall of Fame. Oh, one other thing. I want to thank Dave Loves. He should have been here before me. He started this program with nothing. And no way the next one, he should be here. Unbelievable person. He gave up down Lower Michigan, come up to Snowland where I'm at, and wasn't making no money at first, and just raised the kids. They used to call me and him Salt and Pepper. So thanks again, everybody, especially for the Hall of Fame put me in. And I'm blessed with so many friends. Hold it. I got one other thing to say. I know. But hold it a minute. I got married in Philadelphia. I met this young lady. She was built like a Coca-Cola bottle. Pretty, wasn't that smart here, but she was really nice. And I fell in love with her. I was with her for about 5 weeks. So I used to have kids. 2 of them, mother was on drugs. They didn't have nothing. I used to keep them at my house. So I was married for 2 months. So finally, my wife come up to me, true story, the coaches will tell you. Come up to me, she said, every time I look, you got 6 kids in this house and you feeding them. She say, they gotta go or I'm gone. I say, they've been with me for 2 years. She only been with me for 2 months. Your stuff is in the hallway and get it. True story, ask them. Thanks again. Thanks again. One other thing. For the first time in my life, I'm number 1. It's 3 aisles, and we sit down, and they say, I'm number 1. So, you number 2, and you number 3. Remember that now. That's
right. He was earlier today, he was anointed. We had Al Valenti, Al Bernstein, and Al Mitchell in the same room, and we anointed him. Al won. I got 2nd place, which is at least good. At least I beat out Al Valenti, so, you know, that's something in any case. So there you go. I want to mention, by the way, I mentioned earlier my friend Phil Daly, who was a phenomenal trainer and manager. His son, who was a terrific amateur boxer, Mr. Kirk Daly, is right down here. Our next inductee is a gentleman whose name is known worldwide as an iconic heavyweight champion. He was truly one of the greatest heavyweight champions who ever lived. But what we're honoring him for here tonight is not the fact that he was a great heavyweight champion who had an amazing trilogy with Muhammad Ali. We are honoring the great Joe Frazier for being the 1964 Olympic gold medalist. So Joe Frazier is the next gentleman we will induct into the Hall of Fame. And to accept the nomination for him, we have a young man who I had the privilege of announcing his fights and knowing him during his boxing career. He's a wonderful young man, and he will accept for his dad. Mr. Marvis Frazier is here, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, man? There we go. Mike is yours.
It is so good to be here today to speak about my father and, you know, what he meant to me and how Joe Frazier would always tell me, he said, there's no right way to do wrong and no wrong way to do right. And he said, if you don't do right, you're going to smell this. And for all my life, the good Lord has blessed me so tremendously and told me to, you know, live the true life that men should live, that, you know, for their families and stay together. And I'm just happy to be here today to speak to, you know, just, yeah, I'm just so happy to be here today to be able to say hello and say hello to everybody and talk about love and talk about goodness and great things, you know. And I just love loving people. And my father used to tell me, there's no right way to do wrong and no wrong way to do right. He said, if you don't do right, he said, you're going to smell this. He put his left fist right to my nose. So when it came time for me to do stuff bad, it wasn't me. It wasn't Marvis Frazier. But I'm here today, and I'm just loving to be here, to be able to speak about my dad and the life that he lived.
Just 1 second. Let me say one thing real quick. Hey, can everybody hear me? Hey, everybody listen up. Everybody listen up. We're all here to have a good time, right? Everybody's having a good time, and it's very informal. But look, can we hold it down a little bit? This is Tyson Lee, USA Boxing president. Can we hold it down a little bit during the speeches? So, because we got people up here talking about absolute legends. And you know, we owe them that respect. Don't you think that? So, I mean, this is a great program. Everybody's having a good time. Let's get our drink on and close the week out right. We got some more fighting to come up. We got great fights coming. And let's celebrate what we're doing, because this is so important that we honor the people who have, and all the way from, you know, from when we started here before everybody even got in the room, Jose Sullivan, all the way now to Joe Frazier. And we got some things coming up. Please, let's show respect when people get up here. They traveled a long way, and we're not intentionally being disrespectful, but it's real loud. So let's let them have their say, because they come a long way, and I think we owe it to these champions, coaches, and members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. I just love to talk about boxing, you know. And the only thing is, as an amateur, you know, I was 56-1, and then when I turned pro, I came back and beat the guy because he knocked me out. I had a pinched nerve, and everybody thought it was a knockdown, and he was a real true guy. But today, I'm just a guy that tries to love people and talk about my dad because I love my father. And Joe Frazier would always tell me, there's no right way to do wrong and no wrong way to do right. He said, if you don't do right, you're gonna smell this. And every day I came, he would say that to me. So today I'm still smelling it, even though he's not here. So I love my father. He was a good guy. He was a great champion. And I know everybody know Muhammad Ali, and I know everybody know Smoking Joe Frazier. My father was a man that, you know, he loved people, and he told me there's no right way to do wrong and no wrong way to do right. He said, if you don't do right, you're gonna smell this. And he put it right to my nose. And so, you know, he brought me up that way, and that's the way I'm still living. And I love everybody. I try to, you know, treat people like I want to be treated, and to love people in the right way and do right things. And I just want to say, you know, I love you all, and I thank you for allowing me to have a chance to speak to you and just to say hello, and I love you much. God bless you.
Congratulations. There you go. Of course. Yeah, appreciate it. Of course. Yeah. Blessing to have you.
Thank you, Marvis. And our final inductee this evening is a gentleman who's defined by his record. And I say that because it is not often you can say that somebody was an amateur fighter and they had a record of, are you ready for this? 110 wins and 1 loss. I'll repeat that again. 110 wins and 1 loss. Yeah, that's extraordinary, isn't it? And 73 of those wins were by stoppage. He was an extraordinary amateur boxer. He also went on to win a world title as a professional. He is now the trainer of world champion Deontay Wilder. We are honoring Mark Breeland. And to introduce Mark, we have a gentleman who is iconic in his part of the boxing world because he has been the manager of some of the greatest fighters who have lived in the last 30 or 40 years. And he is going to introduce Mark Breeland. Please help me welcome Mr. Shelley Finkel. Shelley is on his way, I assure you.
Hey, Al, number 2, here's the deal. Tyson Lee is a cadet from West Point. He has made an order in this room to keep it down while the speakers are accepting their awards. Can we all do that? Say yes. One more time. I cannot hear you. Now be quiet.
Not too much to say about Mark. That doesn't sound like it's bragging, but I will. So, from just the pleasure of his friendship and part of my family, his record is beyond belief. He broke the New York Golden Gloves record of Sugar Ray Robinson. 5 years Golden Gloves champion. 24 fights, 24 wins, 23 knockouts. I remember one of the knockouts, he hit the guy went out of the ring, stood up, was on the ring apron, thought he was in the ring, and started punching, and they, of course, stopped it. He went on to beat everyone, and even if the Russians and the Cubans had been at the Olympics in '84, he would have beat them because he beat them in other competitions. He won the gold medal in '84. Let me welcome my good friend, Mark Breeland.
How you doing? First of all, I'd like to thank God for, having everybody here. And I'm not that big of a talker, but I enjoy boxing. It's a lot of fun, And I'm glad. Matter of fact, I'm glad to be here because I've seen a lot of fighters that I grew up with as an amateur, and I still see them out here and they're still doing their thing, and I'm like, wow. But I enjoyed the boxing. I enjoyed boxing because it was something that kept me off the streets. I wasn't a street guy. My father would have beat me up if I would have gotten in trouble in the streets. But I just like, just the boxing. Boxing kept me off the street. Kept me in the gym, and it was something that I was good at. I guess I was. Okay. I had a fight with a bully years ago. I think I was 14, and I beat him up, and I wound up going to the gym the same day, and my trainer was asking me what happened. My knuckles were like shredded with blood. And I told him I had a fight in the street. He said, you can't fight in the street. So I'm like, you can't fight in the street. So then I realized, okay, boxing and street fighting is two different things. So, it kept me off the streets, and, Shelley Finkel, when he came into my life, changed a lot of things, had me to, things just changed a lot where I focused more on boxing. I did a lot of, focus on the Olympics and World Championships, and every tournament I went into, I won, but it was like, it was just a lot of fun to where I just wanted to try to inspire the younger groups. Now they got the YouTube champions today, so it's like, you can look on YouTube and you can be inspired by different fighters. And I hope, I can inspire some of the amateur fighters coming up, just to keep going and stay off the streets and do something, that can change your life in a good way. And on that note, like I said, I'm not much of a big talker, but thank you very much for coming out. 84 for life.
The great Mark Breeland. It's now time for us to give out our Lifetime Achievement Awards, our final part of the ceremony this evening. And it's going to go to a man who spent a life giving this country service in the military and as a senator. And along the way, as he gave our country service, he was always a huge, huge boxing fan. And through his actions, both in public and in private, he did much for the sport of boxing. And tonight, our Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Mr. John McCain. A man I think we can say all Americans should be proud of, and we are. Here to accept the award or introduce the video of someone that's going to accept the award, former U.S. national champion. Please help me welcome Mr. Eric Kelly.
Al, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Kelly, former USA boxing athlete, national champion out of New York City. And throughout the years, I got to be real good friends with Senator John McCain and his family. I would go to Arizona and stay with them sometime. I would actually train his daughter, Mccain, as since Senator John McCain was a huge, huge boxing fan. A lot of people don't know that Senator John McCain and Muhammad Ali were very, very close friends. They spent a lot of time together. And Senator McCain actually helped pass the Muhammad Ali Act, which helps boxers. Senator John McCain was a very, very good person, amazing cook. Man, could he cook. Amazing cook, very good person. And while I am a Democrat, I always respected Senator McCain and his family and his politics. His politics was fair, and he was fair. He was good to everybody that he came across with. Senator McCain didn't see color, he didn't see race, he didn't see creed, he didn't see financial status. He saw the person, he saw your soul, and just like us boxers, he was a fighter. He fought, he fought, and he passed away fighting for what he believed in. He was a martyr. So I'm always going to have love and respect for Senator McCain, his family, his son, his wife Cindy, and the whole family. I'm always going to be a huge fan and supporter of Senator McCain and the family, and I'm always going to wish them well, because if it wasn't for Senator McCain, boxing wouldn't be where it is now. All of us in here are able to do what we do, and most of us don't understand that Senator McCain was a big part of that. Senator John McCain was a big part of the reason why boxing is still an active sport in the USA today. And for that, I'm gonna love him forever, and I'm gonna forever be in debt to the McCain family. Thank you. Now, I don't know what else I'm gonna do up here. Y'all want me to start rapping, singing? I could do a little bit of comedy too, we can make it happen. Everybody tell me I'm funny. I know I'm funny looking, but Tell you a joke? Which video? I'm the joke. Yeah, we have a video.
Good evening. I am so sorry that I cannot join you in person for the induction of the USA Boxing Alumni Association's Hall of Fame class of 2019. The list of honorees this year includes some of the most eminent names in the sweet science: George Foreman, Mark Breeland, Joe Frazier, Al Mitchell, Ray Rogers. For those of you who are present tonight, you showed what sportsmanship, athleticism, and achievement meant. You lived lives exemplifying the greatness and sublimity of boxing and the nobility of suffering. For those who are honored this evening but have departed us, I hope that somewhere you are looking down in the satisfaction that your life's work is remembered and your memory is celebrated. In that second category is another of tonight's honorees, my late father, United States Senator John McCain. To say that my father loved boxing would to say that the sun loves the day. The two went together by their very natures. Combat, man to man, was second nature to my dad. But combat for him was not an expression of violence for its own sake. He loved boxing because it was a deliberate and intentional contest. It pitted manhood versus manhood, and crucially, that quality could find its full expression in defeat as easily as its victory. A man who spent 7 years in the Hanoi Hilton knew the value of simply getting back in the ring. The thrill of achievement, the willing assumption of risk, and the dignity of men, bloodied but unbowed. John McCain loved boxing for the same reasons he loved America. That's why he worked tirelessly to protect and elevate the sport, making it an arena of integrity for fans and fighters alike. That's why he worked hard for the passage of the groundbreaking Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, extending the protection and authority of the federal government to boxers, helped ensure a sport that is dignified and clean. That's why he pushed for the pardon of boxing legend Jack Johnson, a man who stands among boxing's greatest and who suffered unjustly for the prejudices and bigotries of his time. That's why he worked with the Cleveland Clinic on brain trauma studies, helping to enlist medical science for boxers' safety. And of course, my father was a boxer himself at the United States Naval Academy, just like his literary hero Ernest Hemingway, who wrote, "My writing is nothing, my boxing is everything." Dad approved. Thank you to the USA.
That's cool. But yeah, Senator McCain, he, like I said, he loved this sport. And all of us, the fact that we're here today, we're here because Senator John McCain fought for this sport. Senator John McCain fought for this sport, and he fought for the athletes, and he loved boxing. He competed in the Naval Academy, and he did what he had to do. So now we got to make him proud. We all got to be good people, and we all got to fight for what we love and what we believe in and stay positive. Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed our program this evening. We have one more gentleman to talk, and he will give you kind of a perspective on where USA Boxing is at. Obviously, this is a very important weekend for USA Boxing. The Olympic trials are kind of the crown jewel in competition that USA Boxing is involved in, and so what better time to get a kind of state of the union about USA Boxing, and to do it, its executive director, please help me welcome Mr. Mike McAtee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike McAtee. I have the honor and privilege of being the executive director of USA Boxing. On behalf of our board of directors, president of the board, Tyson Lee, I can only say thank you, and thank you. Tonight is a culmination of work between our members, our Alumni Association, but I have to recognize a couple of people. Without this great event, it would not be done without Chris Cuglieri, Al Valenti, and Nicole Anderson, our Alumni Association coordinator. I have the honor a lot of times of being able to talk about boxing. And obviously we have passion. But the other component is if you take 5 seconds right now, you look over your shoulder, your right shoulder, and look at that person. Look over your left shoulder at that person. What Marvis Frazier said, this is a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood, and quite frankly, none of you who have stepped in the ring, and I include myself in that, we're not right. It takes a very special person to climb in the ropes. So you all need to give yourselves a very big hand for not being right. USA Boxing is proud of our history, but we're more proud of our future. And I can tell you right now, the young men and women who are battling at our elite levels, we started with 104. We're going to be down to 13 by Sunday evening. But more importantly, we're going to be breeding the next champions, next generation of champions, because this is closing the chapter on 2020, but starting the chapter on 24, and then ultimately when the Olympic Games come back here in 2028, the boxers who are in our Pee Wee division, the 8 and 9-year-olds today, are going to be our Olympians in 2028. So this is a special time. I'd like to thank Lake Charles. I'd like to thank the Golden Nugget for this very special time. But more importantly, I would like to thank every boxing coach who has changed the lives of every one of us who ever stepped in a boxing ring. With that being said, I think it's a very important that we recognize the great work that Ray Rogers, Al Mitchell, Smokin' Joe Frazier, Mark Breeland, and of course, the Honorable Senator McCain. I want one last round of applause for all of them. And what makes this night special is there's still a line from John. It's the straw that stirs the cup. One last comment from Mr. Al Bernstein, a Hall of Famer himself. And then Al Valenti.
The only appropriate way to close this show out is to bring out Al number 2 and Al number 3. Al number 2, you can say a few words, and then I'll wrap it up.
I want to thank you all for coming this evening, and I want to thank USA Boxing for its great work, and also thank them for inviting me back again. This is my 3rd time, and I will be happy to come back as many times as I am asked. And again, thank all of you for doing the work. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for doing the work that changes young men and women's lives. So thank you.
And as we say in Italy, fratelli, amore, I love you, my brother. All right, and I'm going to close it out. And the only way to do this is to really thank you all again. I meant what I said about the chicken or the egg. But even more importantly than that, we're in a place that takes me 18 hours to get here by plane. I actually had a birthday on the flight down here on Wednesday. Having said that, I would be remiss, and they know how I feel about this. I came to Lake Charles the Monday morning after the New England Patriots won yet another Super Bowl. Tyson, tell them to be quiet. And just so I can explain it, that Kansas City game last week was just an aberration. In New England, we start our season in January. Too bad. Too bad, Saints. Too bad, Chiefs. So I came down here in February, and I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 35 years. I had the pleasure of introducing my grandfather at the Boxing Hall of Fame as a posthumous Hall of Fame inductee. And I said something that day. I said, my grandfather found every nook and cranny, every city and town, every hamlet in New England to run boxing events. I could never have imagined Al Valenti ending up in Lake Charles, Louisiana. This is LSU country. I got that point when I got down here. And when I came down here in February, I met a group of people. And I need your attention for this, especially you local people got to hear this. Quiet now. Quiet. Our model has taken us from Kansas City to Salt Lake City, and here we are in Lake Charles, Louisiana, home of the crawfish and the po' boy. And I can tell you this is for a fact. I want to thank, first of all, without question, and he's here tonight, Eric Zotler from the Lake Charles CVB, who really has worked for an entire year on this event and put it together. Eric, thank you. Thank you for all your work. The day he told me the only problem here is we get alligators out by the pool, I said, well, I'm not going to the pool. We met a young lady, actually two young ladies that had the same name, Paula Dupuis from the Southwest Louisiana Business Association, from the Southwest Beverage Association, and Paula Ramsey from the SWLA. They both deserve a great round of applause, and here's why. Paula Dupuis from Southwest Beverage, we have billboards. We have advertising. We have 150 locations that have posters talking about this event. We have radio ads. None of that would have happened without the support of Southwest Beverage. Paula, wherever you are out there, thank you. In February, USA Boxing formed an alliance with the Southwest Louisiana Business Association, and they went out and sold sponsorships. And I'm proud to say that we raised over $45,000 in avid revenue for this event. $45,000. And they have raised themselves because USA Boxing was in an agreement with them. We'll be cutting the Southwest Louisiana Business Association a check for over $8,000. Paula Ramsey, thank you. I want to thank the mayor of the city. I want to thank the Calisao County jury. And ultimately, and most importantly, we are standing in what I consider to be one of the best run, best looking. The amenities here at this casino are incredible. I want to thank the entire Golden Nugget staff, and especially Brett Forsberg, the Vice President of Sales here. Thank you all. Let's enjoy ourselves tonight. Go out on that casino floor, roll the dice, play some cards, and we got 2 more great days of boxing. And remember one thing, there's nothing like USA Boxing. Good night.